If I test your blood, guess what we're getting? We're getting testosterone. We're going to have testosterone in there. Guess what we're not going to see? You're not going to have naturally DECA and Winstrol and D-bol and Tren. That is not naturally occurring in your blood. Hey guys, welcome back to the video. I got in an Instagram fight with the Instagram tough guy. Those guys are always fun to fight with. Anyways, it was on the video that I came in here and I talked about the difference between testosterone and steroids, because I get a lot of, I don't even know how to say hate. I would say uninformed individuals that say TRT, that you're on anabolic steroids. And it's just not as clean cut as that. And I'm going to prove it to you here in a second. I'm going to prove to you why it's not the same thing. And here's the reason why. Well, let's first talk about this. There's something called type 1 and type 2 hypergonadism. Type 1 hypergonadism is like my business partner. He had what's called, I didn't know this was called. Did you know this was called a brownout? So a brownout, which means there was actually your testicle, guys, hold on to yourself. You're about to cringe. Your testicle falls out of the sac. And apparently the little cord that it's connected to has quite the travel distance. So my business partner had a skateboarding accident where the board came up, hit it, sliced the sac, and then boom, out came the testy. So type 1 hypergonadism is actual damage to your testicles. Think about, I have one of the coach who actually had, I've got a coach in the Agoge who had testicular cancer at the age of, I think, 19, which is just horrible. Obviously, they had it removed. He did great. He is thriving. He's ended up with 5 kids. 4, 5. Anyways, so thriving family, did good, is in phenomenal shape, actually is on TRT. Didn't go TRT till later in life, believe it or not, but once he realized, he was like, oh my God, this is a life-changing event. So that's type 1 hypergonadism. Type 2 is what I have. I'm a classic symptom. If you go back to episode, I don't even know, like 3 on the podcast with Dr. Nadolski, we actually were talking about it. He's not so pro-TRT. He's pro-TRT in the right cases, which so am I. I just talk about it a lot more. But I actually showed him my blood work. We talked about what happened to him. He's like, oh, you're, classic type 2 hypergonadism. And what that means is, for me, is trauma to the brain. So if we have anybody that is a military guy, and it doesn't even have to be like blown up. It could be parachute openings. It could be flashbangs. It could be you sitting in the Humvee and the 50 cal going off over a long period of time. It's long sustained damage to the brain over long. Now I've had some accidents and I've had some explosions and we've had some things happen over my career. But when I got out, I was 31 with a testosterone level of 91. So yeah, there was no wonder I found myself that night on the beach ready to ending it, because I was a mess hormonally. Getting on TRT and getting my levels back to where I needed to be, I radically changed my life. And it's changed so many lives. And that's kind of the reason why I go back and forth, because I know how many, like I wear this necklace right here because a guy read my book, heard my story. He was actively planning on committing suicide. You can listen to that podcast. It's the former FBI contractor. His name's Luke Kennedy. He tells his story on there. So he found my book, read it, and said, I'm going to get my blood tested, and found out that, yeah, he had low T and radically changed his life. And I wear that necklace because he gave it to me as a gift, as a reminder that, hey, sometimes you might be saving someone's life just by doing what you're doing and walking the path that you walk. So don't let all the hate get you down, because, you doing what you're doing could just change someone's life or save it. So I need to continue to do that regardless of how many people and their silly comments. So it's just a good reminder. Nonetheless, is you have type 1, type 2 hypergonadism, and then you just got age. At the end of the day, past 30, even if you're living great, right? If you're living great, you're healthy, you're eating whole food diet, you're not eating shit with ingredients in it, you're keeping charge of your health, your testosterone is still going to decline. It's just the way it is. Part of the aging process, right? I mean, look at this, right? I mean, it's coming in. But nonetheless, if you age, right, you're post 40, you're 50, and then you start to, on top of that, you're in the military, you're first responder, you've been a fighter, you've gotten multiple concussions, maybe it's sports, whatever, or you've had issues actually to your gonads themselves. Well, now it's compounding the issue, right? So let's talk about real quick the difference between So what are anabolic steroids? Anabolic steroids are things like, well, I'll say this. When I test your blood, what's going to be in your blood panel? What steroid is going to be in your blood panel? That's right, testosterone. If I test your blood, I can test your free test, your total test, and then I can test what's something called your sex hormone binding globulin, which is very important. Okay. So you could have a 650 testosterone. Your doctor's like, oh, you're fine, but your free test is 10. We see that a lot too. No one tests for that. Well, that is the vehicle. That is what gets you to your testosterone. That is like, and your same thing with your SHBG, your sex hormone binding globulin. If your sex hormone binding globulin is through the roof, the analogy that I give is you got a Ferrari. Great. You got a fast car. Your testosterone, your total testosterone is great, but you got 4 flat tires. That Ferrari ain't going nowhere. You have no access to the testosterone. All right. This is the reason why it's very important that you work with somebody that understands this, right? The VA is notorious for giving testosterone, not giving anything else, not looking at the numbers, not testing all the labs like we do at Core. So again, if I test your blood, guess what we're getting? We're getting testosterone. We're going to have testosterone in there. Guess what we're not going to see? You're not going to have naturally DECA and Winstrol and D-ball and Tren and I don't even know what else is out there. Primo, Mastron. That is not naturally occurring in your blood. It's not. So here's the deal, ladies and gentlemen. Testosterone is a naturally occurring hormone in your body. So when you go on TRT, you're supplementing a hormone that's already being produced in your body with a bioidentical hormone, which the branch chain is so very close. I think it's off by like 3 of the hormone that's naturally occurring in your body because you already have it. When you talk about anabolic steroids, you're talking about the other things that are not naturally occurring in your body. And we're not prescribing those things. You're not coming to Core Med and getting prescribed D-ball and sustenance. Those might be the same things. I don't even know. DECA and et cetera, all the different things that are out there. Those things are not naturally occurring in your body. What TRT is, testosterone replacement therapy or hormone replacement therapy, HRT, is taking the bioidentical hormone that's in your body and replacing it and getting the levels balanced to where they need to be, making sure your testosterone is where it needs to be, making sure your free test is where it needs to be, make sure your sex hormone binding globulin is where it needs to be, so that you have access to everything, so that you're just balanced and you're operating in an optimal spot for your life. And I cannot tell you how many people I've got, freaking tons of people, one after the other, that have just radically changed their life. It's saved people's lives. It's saved marriages. My wife is on it. We did multiple IVF. She's turning 40 next week. We did 7 IVF rounds, 6 were failures. It just wrecked her. And I said, no more doing that. And then, we have other process. That's a different video for a different time, which I plan on telling very soon. But guys, at the end of the day, this is the argument. Oh, you're just on testosterone. You're on steroids. If I test your blood and you don't take anything, I'm going to find testosterone. I'm not going to find the other stuff. So all TRT is replacing what's already there and making you optimal so you have a high quality of life. Guess what? If you don't want to be on it, you don't like it, quit. We have ways of doing that. You can stop taking it. Guess what? You're going to go right back to where you were before. There's the difference. I want you guys to understand the difference. If I test your blood, you're getting testosterone, period. I'm going to find some, okay? Maybe a little bit, all right? The guys who argue with me about this on Instagram, they have a little bit, just a little bit of testosterone. They need more. If they had more, they probably wouldn't be arguing with me on the internet, and I wouldn't have to give them my address because they always try to threaten me, and I'm like, well, here's my address. Weirdly, no one ever shows up. Nonetheless, guys, that's the difference. I really just challenge you to just get your blood work. The biggest thing that I could tell you to do really is just at the age of 18, if you have kids, do a full panel blood test, not the CBC metabolic panel, like the entire thing. Like we test everything. We've found tumors, we've found cancer, we have found all kinds of different issues that are going in people that are going undiagnosed with regular blood tests, because if they check one thing, they're like, oh, well, that's a little weird. Let me test for another thing. And then you have to do another blood test. And they're like, well, that's weird. Let me do another blood test. Why not just check the whole fucking thing at once? And that's what we do. We just do a whole 28 panel blood test. You get I think it's like 6 vials of blood. We find it all out because we want the freaking answers to the problem. So we take your blood test, We look at it and go, okay, that's the solution. That's what the blood test shows. That's what's telling the story. Now, what are your symptoms? Now let's talk about that. And let's see if these mirror too, and let's come up with a solution for that. Okay, I'm going to get off my high horse. Guys, that's the difference between TRT and taking anabolic steroids. I cannot stress it enough. Testosterone is in the blood. It's there naturally. All we're doing is taking that and then getting it back to optimally where it needs to be and balancing that and making sure that it's manageable and that you have a high quality of life, because at the end of the day, that is what we want. We want to be able to have great sex with our wife. We want to have enough energy that we can do the things that we want to do with our family, our businesses, our kids. We want to be able to sleep well, because sleep is a vital important to our overall health. And we don't want to be depressed and anxious and all the other bullshit that comes with low testosterone. I want you to execute. You get on testosterone, you're going to have a higher quality of life, you're going to make more money, you're going to have a better marriage, etc. So that's it, guys. At the end of the day, there's a link below. If you're interested in getting one of the blood tests that I talk about, it's down there, okay? Other than that, you know what to do. Never quit, never surrender, always forward. And we'll see you in the next video. Peace.